Hey, what's up, gamers? It's AJ again from 1212 Games with another 12-minute gameplay video for you. And in today's video, we're going to be doing a 12-minute taste of the legendary early 90s arcade fighting game, Street Fighter II. So here we go. And this is Street Fighter II: The World Warrior, the very first version of Street Fighter II. There were several that followed, both in the 90s in the arcades and even on home consoles in the years since then. But this being the first version, there were only 8 playable characters at the time. And I'm going to be Ryu. As you can see, he's kind of the main character of the Street Fighter franchise. He's one of the only ones to feature in every single game. And he was really the only returning character from Street Fighter 1, with the exception of Ken, but Ken doesn't really count because he was only playable in the 2-player versus mode, not in the single-player arcade mode. I am, of course, fighting Dhalsim. He is the Indian character who's famous for his yoga moves and he's got an assortment of flame moves, fire breath moves, and also for his little there's his flame, his little corkscrew flying maneuver that you saw, as well as his extendable limbs. He's got the longest limbs in the game. You must defeat Shang Long to stand a chance. That's Ryu's famous victory quote from this game. A lot of people thought for a number of years that Shang Long was the name of another character, possibly his master. But in reality, I believe it was a mistranslation of that move right there that I just did, that flying uppercut move. Which I believe is in the game since has been called Shin-Ryu-Ken. I think that's even what he sang in the game in Japanese, which I believe means Death Dragon Punch. If I know my Street Fighter, which I believe I do. And now, of course, I'm fighting Chun-Li, who is famous for being the Chinese character in the game, famous for her legs, her very rapid kick moves, and powerful and creative flying kick moves, as well as her dress, of course, and her buns, and for being the only female character in the game until the addition of Cammy in one of the later versions. Hey, she really beat me. Sorry, I don't usually lose to her. Try again. These games are tough. They're no joke. Even, I would say to seasoned veterans. I mean, I'm not a professional level player or anything, but I've definitely been playing this for years. It still kicks my butt. I've literally been playing it since it, just about since it came out in the early 90s. Obviously, I was much younger then. But the Street Fighter series, particularly Street Fighter II, really took fighting games to another level. There were a few there were a few fighting games that existed before the Street Fighter series. But Street Fighter 2 especially inspired a whole host of imitators. Yes! I was going to lose there. The first Street Fighter game wasn't really anything very different from the other fighting games that came before it, and it really wasn't anything particularly special, or even honestly that good. But Street Fighter 2, yeah, it just blew everything else completely out of the water and blew gamers away. It really started the whole fighting game craze, and I would argue pretty much led to it being a full-fledged genre. As I said, it inspired many copycats, particularly from SNK on the Neo Geo. Games like Fatal Fury and Fatal Fury franchise, Art of Fighting, Samurai Showdown, King of Fighters. Those are all thanks to Street Fighter 2, the glory and the beauty of Street Fighter 2. No other fighting game was as deep, had as many playable fighters, was as colorful. Oh, sweet. Had as awesome bonus stages as I don't even know if other fighting games had bonus stages. I'm trying to do mine. I think you can do the trying to do the hurricane kicks. Obviously, I haven't played this bonus stage in a while. Completely forgot how to do it. Yeah, the depth, the creative and varied roster of characters, the colorful, detailed graphics, sound effects, even the fantastic soundtrack, all just were on a completely different level. And even with all, the whole host of imitators that followed and were inspired by this game. I forgot to mention the Mortal Kombat series too. We wouldn't have that without this game either. Nice. Oh, no. But yeah, Street Fighter 2 was a force of nature back in the day, and it remains so for many, many years. Even with all those imitators, people kept coming back to Street Fighter 2. It was groundbreaking and amazing. And if you didn't know why, if you'd heard that before, if you didn't hear that, now you know. And if you did, and you didn't know why, now you know why. but there were many great sequels that followed as well. Just gonna spam the fireballs here. You gotta take those victories any way you can get them. These games are hard, they're no joke. They ate a lot of quarters back in the day. I would say S and K, you know, really took the difficulty to heart, and they even ran with it to an extent, because I would argue that most of their fighting games are even harder, as hard as this game is, and this is hard. You know, even for seasoned veterans who've been playing it for years. Unless, I mean, I'm not like a pro or anything, but I've been playing this, like, as I said, since the 90s, and even I still have trouble. But, oh, give me a break. Sometimes the computer takes the cheap victories, too. But anyway, yeah, SNK kind of ramped up the difficulty with most of their fighting games, but these games are still no joke. They were as much of a joy as they were to play. Oh, jeez. That's what I'm talking about. They also definitely ate a lot of quarters and made Capcom quite a lot of money in the arcades, and probably led to a lot of broken controllers once they were ported to home consoles. Beginning with the Super Nintendo in 1992, this game having come out the year before, in 91. And if you watch this channel regularly, you likely saw, or I hope you saw, and watched the 30th anniversary Street Fighter II unboxing I did of the SNES game just recently. But as I said, the Super Nintendo game was the first one ported, followed by a Champion Edition, which was a later version of Street Fighter II. That was the first one ported for the Genesis, I believe, and featured the 4 playable boss characters from this game, which you can fight in this game, but you can't play as them until that later version. And then both the Super Nintendo and Genesis got the still later, they both got, later on, got ports of the later arcade update, Super Street Fighter II, which featured 4 new playable characters, including Cammy, who I believe I mentioned earlier, was the second female to be added to the roster after Chun-Li. Chun-Li was famous for being the only female until Cammy came along. Finally. This game was also, a lot of people may not know this, featured some inspiration from the mid-80s Tom Cruise movie Top Gun. Well, you can see the jet right there, but also Guile was largely inspired by the main rival from that movie, Iceman. Nice. And then the composers for this game basically ripped off the song Mighty Wings, which appears in the Top Gun movie for Ken's stage. So you got a stage here that was largely inspired by it, and a song that was pretty much straight up ripped off. But I mean, it's a good song. It's a good movie. So those inspirations are certainly welcome. There were a lot of great follow-ups to Street Fighter 2 also from Capcom. I'm gonna try this one more time. Might give it a rest because I've already exceeded the 12-minute mark. So let's see if I can get past Guile. One more shot. Starting with the, I believe, Alpha series, there were many different versions of Street Fighter 2, as I said, in the arcades. I believe there were 5, and then there were a few more years since on home consoles. But then you had the Alpha series, which were they were very similar to Street Fighter 2, but even better graphics and gameplay. I actually really love the Alpha series. I think that's kind of that. I would say that shares the Alpha series, especially Alpha 3, shares the high point of the Street Fighter series, along with Street Fighter 3, particularly Third Strike. Again, the third version of Street Fighter 3. So there were also 3 versions of it. Then Street Fighter 4 was also really good. You had a few different versions of that. 5 is just kind of... I actually did a review of 5 on 1212 Games, the website, which you're welcome to check out. I was actually pretty disappointed with 5. And 6 is, I think, horrible. But that's just me. Feel free to argue that or point out any errors I may have made or anything I may have missed in this video. Or, share your own opinions, what games you love and why, or why you love Street Fighter 2. Please feel free to comment. I could talk about Street Fighter all day. I love me some Street Fighter. But, and then there were, of course, other games as well. The Marvel vs. Capcom series, which featured many of the Street Fighter characters and moves. And you got Capcom vs. SNK. And you got, even had Street Fighter X Tekken. Yes. Guess I'm gonna keep going. See how far I can get. That was a close one. All fantastic games, pretty much. I mean, some of the Marvel vs. Capcom games, honestly, are better than others. I mostly only like the first 2. I never even get to this bonus stage, obviously. So I'm doing pretty messed up. I'm doing absolutely terrible. There we go. I've never been good at the bonus stages. I used to be able to do the car one. Forgot how. Yeah, I've never been very good at the barrel stage. Oh, I love this. I love this theme music. This and Balrog, the boxer in Vegas, are two of my favorite themes from this game. Oh, and Ken's, of course. The Top Gun Mighty Wings ripoff. They have met my match finally. Yeah, I think I did. At least he's not getting it perfect. Darn. Well, I think that's as good a place as any to end it. But I just gotta rub it into there we go. Just pause it there. Yeah, so I guess that's about it. Again, if you don't know Street Fighter very well, I hope maybe this inspired you to check it out. Again, I highly recommend Street Fighter Alpha 3 or Third Strike. I'm actually playing this on the Capcom Stadium collection for the PS4, but it's also on PS5, which is what I'm playing on. But it's also on Xbox One and Series X and Switch, actually. And there's two of them, and I believe you can play. Can you play the Alpha games on there? Yeah, I think you can play Alpha 3 on there. I don't know if they have Third Strike or not. I can't remember. But you can definitely play Alpha 3. And then they also have the Street Fighter collection, the anniversary collection, which has the arcade versions of Alpha 3 and Third Strike, and the Arcade Stadium 1, as well as the Street Fighter Arcade Anniversary Collection, also have Street Fighter 2, several different versions. But definitely, if you get a chance, check those out if you haven't before. If you already know and love Street Fighter, I hope you enjoyed this video. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you for watching, and till the next time.